Hello student, this question is asking that two statements are given here, one and the two, first and the second. First says that the acid strength increases in the order as given: fluorine, chlorine, bromine and iodine. Student, first of all, these are the 17 group element: fluorine, chlorine, bromine and iodine. Halogens. Now we are having here the hydride. Okay. So while talking electronegativity property of the halogen, it will decrease top to down because the size is going to increase here, and we must know that electronegativity is inversely proportional to size. And because of highly electronegative nature of fluorine, this bond is what the strongest, so this will give H plus with difficulty. It means we can say that among all, HF is weakest acid, while HI is going to be strongest acid. Clear? So let's check the other statement also. This is going to be perfect here. This is the perfect order of acidic nature. Next, as the size of the element fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine increases down the group, perfect here, the bond strength of the HF, HCl, HBr and HI decreases. This is having here the highest strength and this is having here the lowest strength of the bond. This is the correct statement. So the acid strength increases. We can say both first and the second statement are true. Both of these are correct. Both are false, it means wrong. Statement 1 is correct. Statement both should be the answer. Both statement 1 and 2 are true. Fourth option is going to be perfect for you. Thank you. Hello student, this question is asking noble gases are named because of their inertness towards reactivity. Of course, fulfilled configuration. Identify an incorrect statement about them. So here we are having noble gases: helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon, radon and recently discovered oganesson. Clear? So noble gases have, we want here the incorrect statement. First says that noble gases have very high melting and boiling point strength. This is going to be what the wrong. Because between the atom of noble gases, these are the monoatomic molecule. So we can say between these, we are having the weak dispersion forces, weak van der Waals forces. Because of that, these are present in the gaseous state and the boiling point are less, melting point are less. So very high word is going to be wrong. This is the incorrect statement. First option is going to be your answer. Next, noble gases have weak dispersion forces, weak van der Waals forces. Perfect here. This is the correct statement. We want incorrect. Next, noble gases have the large positive value of electron gain enthalpy. It means what? It means endothermic process. Why so? Because of their stable NH2 NP6 configuration, energy is provided. Clear? Next, noble gases are sparingly soluble in water because these are not charged. Okay, non-polar atom. So we can say that these are the less. Maximum gases are sparingly soluble in the water. So we can say this is going to be the perfect. So all of these are the correct. Only incorrect statement is first. This is your answer. Thank you.
Hello dear students, so our next question is the major product of the following chemical reaction is, okay. First of all, you can see that here we have this reactant, this is alkene and it will react with the HBr in presence of this benzyl peroxide. So in presence of peroxide, this HBr will show us peroxide effect. Now student, what is peroxide effect? Into the peroxide effect, addition of HBr on this multiple bonded alkene will take place according to the anti-Markovnikov rule. Okay, so what is anti-Markovnikov rule, guys? Anti-Markovnikov rule says that electrophilic part H plus will go to that carbon atom which can form the most stable carbocation. Okay, so here into this alkene we know that this secondary carbon atom, this more hindrance carbon atom will form the more stable carbocation, right? So that's why this H plus electrophilic part will go to that carbon atom which can form the most stable carbocation, and this Br minus, this nucleophilic part, will go to that carbon atom which will form the less stable carbocation. Okay, so now the final product is CH3 here, because electrophilic part H plus will go to this carbon atom, that's why it will convert it into the CH2. Okay, and this it will form here CH2Br. Br nucleophilic part will go to that carbon atom which can form the less stable carbocation. Okay, so finally we will get this product as a final major product of the reaction, and option 4 is the correct answer. Thank you.
Well, students, our question is the molar conductance of NaCl, HCl and CH3COO at infinite dilution are 126.45, 426.16 and 91 s centimeter square mole inverse respectively. So the molar conductance of CH3COOH at infinite dilution will be, so choose the right option for your answer. Well, a very simple question asked in NEET 2021, and this question came just directly from the NCERT solved example, students. Well, we need to calculate lambda naught of CH3COOH, and at infinite dilution the molar conductance are already given to us for NaCl, HCl and CH3COONA. So what we'll just do, using the Kohlrausch law, we'll just add these two figures and subtract NaCl out of it, right? We'll just add these two and subtract NaCl. So what will be the case for this? This will be lambda naught of CH3COONA plus lambda naught of HCl minus lambda naught of NaCl, students, right? So this will be for CH3COONA, the value is given as 91 s centimeter square mole inverse. For HCl, the value is given as 426.16 minus for NaCl, it is minus 126.45. Now see, just students, just look at the options. We are having options very far away. We can use an approximate fashioned form. Well, if I just subtract if I just do minus 126 plus 91, it gives us a value of approximately how much? It gives us a value of minus 33x approximately, minus 34 approximately, and minus 34 plus 426, well, 426 minus 33 point something like that, 33 or 34 point something, it gives us a value of approximately 390. It should be actually close to 400 only, right? It gives us a value of 390 point something. Okay, so we can just do it directly. It comes out to be 390.71 as centimeter square mole inverse, because there is only one option which is having the value very close to 400. It is only this answer, right? You can give the approximate answer and get the answer out of it, and the correct answer for this is option number 1. And I hope you understood it. Thank you.
Hello dear students, our next question is the compound which shows metameris is, okay, first of all student, what is the metameris? To show the metameris, compound should have polyvalent atom or polyvalent functional group. For example, here we are taking this oxygen, and this oxygen is polyvalent atom, right? So to show the metameris, basically the nature of the alkyl group around this polyvalent atom should be changed. Then the phenomena is known as metameris phenomena, and these both compounds are known as metamers. Okay. Now the first option is C3H8O. So the structure of this C3H8O can be this, like, okay, COCC. So now you can see that here this is the methoxyethane. If this alkyl group which is present the left side to the oxygen are having only one carbon atom. Okay, so if this alkyl group can be like this, but you can see that both compounds is having the same IUPAC naming, methoxyethane. So that's why here with the 3 carbon atom this compound cannot show the metameris, right? So C3H8O is not the correct answer. Now the next is C3H6O. So basically into the C3H6O, first of all we have to calculate the degree of unsaturation with this molecular formula. So formula of degree of unsaturation is C plus 1 minus H plus X minus N by 2. Here C represents the number of carbon atom, H represent the number of hydrogen atom, X represent number of halogen, and N represent number of nitrogen atom. In this molecular formula only carbon and hydrogen are present and the oxygen atom are present. Okay, so here this is 3 plus 1 minus, and H is 6, so 6 by 2. Okay, so after the solving this, we will get the degree of unsaturation is 1. That means that compound should contain the 1 cyclic ring or compound should contain the 1 pi bond. Okay, so to show the metamerism, here we will take this, and this compound is contained the 1 pi bond. Okay, now student, this compound cannot show the metamerism, right? Because if you transfer this alkyl group here, this carbon here, then you have to balance the molecular formula by 1 pi bond. Okay, so you can see that both the compound is identical. So with the 3 carbon atom, compound cannot show the metamerism. To show the metamerism, compound should have contained at least 4 carbon atom. Okay, now the next is C4H10O. So C4H10O, with this molecular formula we can form these compounds. Okay, and the next will be this. Now you can see that this compound is contained the polyvalent atom, and around the polyvalent atom the nature of alkyl groups are changed. Here methyl, ethyl, propyl, and here ethyl. So around the polyvalent atom, nature of alkyl groups are changed. So that's why this compounds are metamers of each other, and with this molecular formula, compound can show the metamerism. So option 3 is the correct answer. Now the next is C5H12. This compound does not contain any polyvalent atom or polyvalent functional group. This is the simple formula of alkene. Okay, and alkene is not contain any polyvalent atom or polyvalent functional group. So that's why this compound cannot show the metamerism. Okay, so option 3 is the correct answer. Thank you.
Hello student, this question is asking the correct sequence of bond enthalpy, bond dissociation enthalpy of CX, and X is what the halogen. It can be fluorine, chlorine, bromine, and iodine. So have a look student, CS3 group is common, and here first of all we are having fluorine. So here you can say that carbon fluorine, carbon chlorine, carbon bromine, and the carbon iodine bonds are available. While talking about the electronegativity of halogen, of course top to down this is going to decrease because size is increasing. This is the 17 group of halogen, clear? These are the halogen. So we can say because of that highly electronegative nature, this bond is what the strongest. Because this bond is strongest, so we can say that the bond dissociation energy or bond enthalpy will be highest, will be maximum for this maximum, and this is the decreasing order. So CS3F will show here the maximum value of bond enthalpy, maximum. Fluorine, so it is not given here. In this case iodine is maximum given here student. So we can say second is wrong, third is also wrong, fourth is also wrong. Fluorine maximum, then chlorine, then bromine, then iodine. First option is correct here. Thank you.
Well students, let's see the question. The question is, choose the correct option for the graphical representation of Boyle's law, which shows a graph of pressure versus volume of a gas at a different temperature. Now see students, Boyle's law gives us a relation of pressure versus volume at a constant temperature. So it says that P is inversely proportional to V from the Boyle's law, right? So if we just take a constant and remove the proportionality sign over here, this will be P equals K by V. Now see students, we have just plotted the graph of pressure versus volume in all of these cases. So it should be clear that for this particular relation, right, the actual graph should go in a hyperbolic manner, right? So these two can never be the answer because the graph should be in the hyperbolic manner, right? So this is the case. Now we are only concerned with option 3 and option 4. Okay, so we can just say that from this PV equals K, and it can be written as equals nRT, right? So now see students, when we increase the temperature, the K increases and same the pressure increases. Well, let's have a look at the different graphs over here or the different isotherms over here. So we are having this, and we are having this, 3 isotherms. Well, it's a direct question from the NCERT students. NCERT just gave the relation for this particular graph. It's printed in NCERT, right? Well, now we are having the value of pressure versus volume. Okay, let me just take volume as a constant figure. So if I just take the volume as a constant figure, so on increasing temperature, K increases and definitely the P will get increased. So on increasing temperature, K will increase and P just gets increased. So it is quite visible that this will be T1, this is T1, this is T2 and this is T3 students. So T3 will be greatest, followed by T2, followed by T1. Because if volume is constant, so at T1 temperature we are having this pressure, at T2 temperature we are having this pressure, and at T3 we are having this pressure. So on increasing temperature, pressure should increase and pressure is getting increased. So T3 should be greatest. So in this it says that T3 is smallest. No, it can't be the answer. This is 600. At T3 it is having maximum pressure. At 400 it will be having the pressure less than this, and at 200 it will be having the least pressure. So the correct answer clearly from this goes to be option number 3 only, and I hope you understood it. Thank you. Well students, let's see the question, and the question says right option for the number of tetrahedral and octahedral void in hexagonal primitive unit cell are. So what is the right option for this? Well, let's have a look. Well, if I just draw the structure of the hexagonal unit cell, it is somewhat like this, students. So the structure is somewhat like this. Okay, so this is, we just plotted the structure over here. Okay, now in this the atoms are present at the corners. These are the corners. It is present at the face center. These are the face center, and 3 are at the inside the body. So if I just take the total of it comes out to be the corners are 12, 6 up and 6 down. So this will be 12, and the contribution of the corner atom in this particular case is 1 by 6. So this will be 12 into 1 by 6. 2 at the faces plus 2 times 1 by 2, and 3 at the body. So that is giving the full contribution. Number of atoms comes out to be 6. Well, if number of atoms are 6, so the number of octahedral void, OV in this particular case, will be how much? It will be same as the number of atoms. So OV will be 6 and TV will be 12. TV will be 12. So octahedral voids are 6 and tetrahedral voids are 12. Well, we have been asked for tetrahedral and octahedral void, so means we need to give the answer for tetrahedral first. So it will be 12, 6. Now see students, actually in this particular question, there is a bit language issue. They have just used hexagonal primitive unit cell. Well, it is not primitive, students. It is not primitive, right? It should be hexagonal unit cell, but it is not actually primitive. Okay, so but technically if I just have a look at the question, the answer should be prioritized for 12, 6 only, so we can just give the answer directly for that, and the correct answer will be option number 3, and I hope you understood it. Thank you.
Hello dear students, so our question is given below are two statements. Statement first is aspirin and paracetamol belong to the class of narcotic analgesic, and statement second is morphine and heroin are non-narcotic analgesics. In the light of the above statements, choose the correct answer from the options given below. Okay, student, first of all, what is the narcotic and what is the non-narcotic drugs? Okay, basically here this non-narcotic drugs is non-addictive. These are non-addictive drugs. Okay, and the examples of the non-addictive drugs is aspirin and paracetamol. Paracetamol and aspirin is also used as antipyretic drugs. Okay, so these are non-addictive drugs. But the second is narcotic drugs. What is the narcotic drugs? Student, narcotic drugs is addictive drugs. Narcotic is addictive drugs. Basically, narcotic drugs is a psychoactive compound with the paralyzing and numbing properties. Okay, if this narcotic drugs is taken in poisonous doses, they produce coma and death easily. Okay, and the example for narcotic drugs is morphine and heroin. Morphine and heroin is the examples of narcotic drugs. So now the statement 1, aspirin and paracetamol belong to the class of narcotic. No, this is belongs to the non-narcotic. So this is the false statement. Next is morphine and heroin are non-narcotic analgesic. These are narcotic analgesic. So again these are false statement. So basically first and second both are the incorrect statement, both are the false. So option 1 is both statement first and statement second are false. So option 1 is the correct statement, that both statements are false. So option 1 is the correct answer. Thank you. Hello dear students, so our next question is dihedral angle of least stable conformer of ethane is. Okay, student, this is the structure of ethane, CH3CH3. This is the front carbon and this is the back carbon will be considered, and with this structure we will form the Newman projection of ethane. At the front carbon we have 3 hydrogen, similarly at the back carbon we have 3 hydrogen. Okay, this is the eclipse form. Into the eclipse form you can see that dihedral angle is 0 degree. So basically here if we will rotate this Newman projection by the 60 degree, then you will get this conformer. Hydrogen, front carbon will remain the same, and at the back carbon the position of hydrogen will change, and you can see that here the dihedral angle is 60 degree. Okay, this is known as staggered form. Student, into the eclipse form what happened, because these hydrogen are present at this position, then here repulsion of the size of hydrogen atom are present. So that's why here this eclipse form will be least stable and staggered form will be more stable due to the less repulsion, due to the less strain. Okay, so eclipse form is the least stable conformer and it is having the dihedral angle 0 degree. So that's why here option 3 is the correct answer. Thank you.